Well, I'm here at this beautiful house that's under construction, and the thought came across my mind, what's going to happen to this place when the owners pass away? You know, the truth of the matter is it'll probably go to the kids in a last will and testament as their inheritance. Have you ever received anything as an inheritance? I mean, maybe it wasn't something so luxurious as a house, but maybe it had some monetary value. I mean, maybe it was one of those antique chairs that you go on the road show and you find out was some rare antique worth thousands of dollars. Maybe for you it wasn't something quite so luxurious. Maybe it was something of monetary value like a wedding ring or an engagement ring from your mom. And every time that you see that engagement ring, it reminds you of her, and you can't wait for the day to be able to give that to your kids as a memory of their grandma. Maybe for you it wasn't something of monetary value at all. Maybe it was something of totally sentimental value, like a pocket knife or a pocket watch from your granddad or some knitting needles from your grandma. The truth of the matter is, whether it was a super luxurious thing like a house that you inherited or a sentimental thing, none of it is going to be built to last. I mean, the reality is that any inheritance that we get on this earth, we get to enjoy for just a short amount of time. And then we have to pass it on to somebody else. All inheritance here on this earth is limited and finite. But the Apostle Paul wanted the believers in the church in Rome to know that they had an eternal inheritance that was waiting for them. In Romans 8, he's just finished up talking about how they've been set free from their slavery to sin. They're no longer slaves to sin. Sin is a choice. It's not a have to anymore. They've been rescued by God because of what Jesus did on the cross. And so now they're no longer slaves. You know, the truth of the matter is if Jesus were to have left it at that, that would have been more than enough for anything we could have ever imagined. But he went even further. Paul said not only were the believers in Rome and every other believer since then, not only were they no longer slaves, they had been adopted as sons and daughters of God. And their adoption came with inheritance benefits. Now this blows my mind if you think about this. Jesus could have forgiven us of our sins and just sent us on our merry way, and that would have been more than enough. He could have said, well, you get to taste and experience the joys of heaven. You get to avoid all the torment of hell. But here's the thing. You're going to be my slave forever in heaven. So you get to be around me and you get to partake in all this beauty. But you're going to be my slaves. And even that would have been so much more than what we deserve. But he went so much further than that. In Romans chapter 8, verses 12 through 17, Paul says, not only has Jesus said we're no longer slaves and we're adopted as sons, but we're adopted as sons and daughters with inheritance benefits. We have an eternal inheritance that's waiting for us. We actually get to be joint heirs with Christ. I want you to think about that statement for just a second. If you understand the reality of that, it's like mind blown. Jesus has taken us, enemies who are far away from God, and he came for us and paid our adoption price. He suffered on our behalf so that then he could bring us into the family of God. And here's what's so amazing. He doesn't just bring us into the family as a servant, but he brings us into the family as a son or a daughter. And then he says, here's the thing. I'm going to let you rule right alongside of me forever, times forever, times forever in the new heaven and the new earth. That's incredible to me. That's an inheritance that lasts forever and can never be taken away. And so today in your community groups, you're going to get a chance to dig a little deeper into this truth that Paul was trying to tell the church in Romans chapter 8, verses 12 through 17. And so if you're in a community group, now's your time to open up your discussion guide. If you're not in a community group and you just want to get together with a few friends at work or maybe sit around with your family after dinner tonight, just replay this video and download the link for the discussion guide below. And then have some time where you get to talk about and dive a little deeper to talk about our eternal inheritance that never fades away. Joint heirs with Christ. No longer slaves, not just servants. Joint heirs with Jesus. Man, that's amazing. Have a great day.